With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. And we know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you, which is why we wanted to bring it up before we...
So, it's been over a few weeks since we heard of the highly disappointing news. Broken promises, scummy business practices, and a hollow roadmap to boot. Really, my expectations were low, but man, I never thought it was gonna get this bad. But then it got me thinking, well, what now? The way I see it, as a longtime Overwatch fan, we have a few options here. Number one, keep playing the game and just ignore the voices in your head telling you to stop supporting a shitty corporate scumbag company like Activision Blizzard. Or number two, just play on occasion and see what happens when Season 6 story missions release. I may actually end up going this route and just releasing Overwatch 2 content on occasion. But I don't know, I'll think about it. Or number three, move the on. If you chose number 3, and if by chance you have the same tastes in gaming as I do, I have a few titles you may want to try out. Naturally, for this list, I won't be including other more obvious multiplayer games like Fortnite, Valorant, Apex Legends, or Warzone, because, you know, these are given titles that you may have already migrated to anyway. Additionally, I'll just be briefly going over each game since I'm not really promoting them, and you can decide to look further into each one if it piques your interest. So without further ado, here are 5 games I would rather play right now that isn't Overwatch 2. First is Gundam Evolution. If you want something similar to Overwatch, but instead of heroes, you fight with iconic mechs called mobile suits, hailing from all of the Gundam shows over the years. Like Overwatch, Gundam Evolution is a team-based shooter with 2 opposing teams of 6 players each. The goal is to prevent the enemy team from achieving their objectives as you attempt to achieve your own. There are some pretty interesting ideas here, beyond the typical character-based abilities that come with games like these, but the character movement like strafing and boost management inject a familiar yet satisfying take on the mech fighting genre. And since this is a free-to-play game, you can expect the typical monetization model. But if you're done with all things hero shooters, you might be interested in Capcom's upcoming game instead, Exoprimal. Unfortunately, it's not a new Dino Crisis, but on the other hand, it isn't exactly Anthem either. So I call that a win?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
You may remember a video I made last year comparing the Exoprimal beta to what Overwatch 2's PvEVP could look like if executed properly. Well, that didn't age well. But if you do still want to play a PvE game like that, Exoprimal could be the game that fulfills that promise. What seems to be a combination of the free-to-play third-person shooter Warframe and the Gambit multiplayer mode from Destiny 2. Exoprimal has you mow down hundreds upon hundreds of mutated dinosaurs as you compete against another team, attempting to get to the final objective before you do. And at the final phase of the match, the 2 teams of 5 players each culminate in a face-off finale. There are different game modes to this as well, and just like Anthem, possibly some exosuit customization to improve your suit's overall performance. Take note though, this isn't a free-to-play game, but is it worth the $60 price tag? That remains to be seen. On the other hand, is it worth the 1 month of Xbox or PC Game Pass just to try out? I think so. It's not out yet, but it is coming out very soon, on July 14 this year. In the meantime, the closest thing you can get to this game would be from Earth Defense Force series or Anthem.
That's great.
So yeah, pick your poison. Well, now that we have a Game Pass game already, let's talk about a game from PlayStation Plus. If you're like me, you probably have a bottomless pit of games on your backlog that just seems to keep expanding every month. But also like me, you may be considering giving Chivalry 2 a go if you have it. In Chivalry 2, players engage in epic battles featuring knights, archers, and other medieval warriors. The game emphasizes first-person melee combat, allowing players to wield a variety of weapons, such as swords, axes, and spears, to engage in intense close-quarters combat. It has a somewhat humorous and over-the-top tone, with players engaging in chaotic and bloody battles filled with comedic moments, so if you're into that, have at it. Next, we have Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. So, in what seemed like 10 years in the making, From Software has finally decided to dust off their cult classic game and give it a new coat of paint. Contrary to a more Souls-like experience, Armored Core 6 will revive the original core concept of what made the series so special. If you're not familiar with the series, Armored Core is a mecha-based vehicular combat game in which players pilot mechs called Armored Cores, which can be customized using parts to upgrade and fine-tune their power. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is set to release on August 23 this year, so while it isn't out yet, you might want to consider playing the older versions of the game, if you can get your hands on a decently priced one. Otherwise, you can try finding a ROM online and just using an emulator. Outside of emulators, you might want to also consider playing Daemon X Machina on Steam, or Epic Games, while waiting. Oh, and if you've watched the most recent Sony State of Play, you may have already seen a lot of upcoming games. But one of those games is actually already available to play on PC and mobile. So if you have zero patience like I do, I'd give Tower of Fantasy a try. Tower of Fantasy is an anime-inspired cross-platform MMORPG featuring large open worlds, sci-fi themed anime aesthetics, fast action combat, interactable environments, PvP, and basically it's a lot like Genshin Impact, but without an incessant Paimon constantly annoying you. Or isn't there? And speaking of Genshin Impact, do you enjoy games like Persona 5? How about the Pokemon series? How about Doki Doki Literature Club? Okay, maybe not that last one, but hey, Honkai Star Rail, aka Hoyoverse's latest attempt to empty out my bank account. Honkai Star Rail is an anime-style gacha RPG where players build up a lineup of characters and control a team of 4 in turn-based combat. While this isn't an open-world game like Genshin Impact before it, there are plenty of locations to explore and varied enemies to battle. Like Pokemon, there are certain element types that each character and each enemy is associated with, and using the correct type of elemental attack can increase or decrease your damage output. And just like with Persona 5, you can also break your opponents, triggering certain skills or advantages depending on which character you're using, or in this case, which character you were fortunate enough to get. And there you have it. Whether you stick with Blizzard or not, especially after this fiasco, is really up to you. Whatever route you go, just remember 3 things. Have fun, don't take things too seriously, and of course, GG everyone. Peace.